Hi, my name is Tarushi, and I will be looking at the evidence that shows that females mature psychologically faster than males. The cognitive wiring that induces behavioral firing. Most specifically, brain plasticity induced cognitive, social, and emotional development that supports accelerated psychological maturation of females as opposed to males. In order to be able to determine if females mature psychologically faster than males, we need to be able to describe what exactly psychological maturity is and whether it can be quantified. Psychological maturity can be regarded as the ability to complete developmental tasks that are social, biological, and cognitive in nature according to the requirements of one's age group. This identifies maturity as being the amalgamation of elevated biological, social, and cognitive functioning. Therefore, using the neurobiological theory of synaptic pruning, I will be providing evidence for advanced psychological maturation in females as seen by behavioral studies that look at advanced social, cognitive, and emotional maturation in females and how this is significantly higher for females across 3 age categories when compared to males within the same 3 age categories. My first source offers evidence for the neurobiological basis that induces cognitive maturity via synaptic pruning. The study was based on rodents and their upregulation of GABA-A inhibitory receptors that occurs post-puberty. This upregulation of GABA-A inhibitory receptors was thought to be the underlying reason as triggering synaptic pruning within the neurons of the rodents, which only happened in females, but not in males. This accelerated synaptic pruning occurred in the hippocampus area of female mice, but not in any brain area of male mice following puberty. This also showed us that relearning was impaired when upregulation of GABA-A inhibitory receptors did not occur. The relevance this has to psychological maturation is that Donald Hebb explored the idea of persistent firing between synapses inducing brain plasticity in his book, The Organization of Behavior. He induced that long-term physiological stability and synaptic strengthening was a result of repetitive firing between synapses. Based on this, we can understand that a physiological strengthening of synapses correlates to improved cognitive functioning in females, as this is clearly shown in this study that it affects the hippocampus area of brain development. We can say that it also has attributes in social and emotional intelligence, as both of these attributes are regulated by the hippocampus. My next source looked at the psychological maturity of females compared to their male counterparts within the adolescent age bracket. It stemmed from this main question: does a neurobiological basis offer support to earlier and faster learning and emotional processing immediately following puberty in females? So we're looking at the time-dependent psychological maturation of females, because it has always been stipulated that in adolescence, females exhibit higher academic performance than in males. As academic performance is mostly cognitive in physiological basis, can the interplay of both an emotional and cognitive maturity correlate to provide evidence of psychological maturity? As we have seen before, that psychological maturity is an amalgamation of increased cognitive, social, and emotional intelligence. This study was derived from questionnaires that outlined the emotional responses of 53 fifth graders from a German school. Their behavior was analyzed both by themselves and by their teachers using an EQI. The study found out 2 very interesting findings. The measurement of mean difference showed that girls outperform boys in both academic performance and behavior regulation. What was more interesting to identify was that via regression analysis, the relationship identified between gender and academic achievement was influenced by the ability of students to control their behavior. This once again brings us back to the interplay of psychological, social, and emotional functioning, boosting a higher psychological maturation in females as opposed to males within the same age bracket. My third source tried to expand this a bit further while going into early adulthood psychological maturity, and if this followed the same trend as was seen in postpubertal and adolescent females. Here we looked at the emotional intelligence. Undergraduate students from 3 different universities in Iran were assessed via a questionnaire format of their emotional intelligence. They were either enrolled in a bachelor's or a master's degree in university. As you can see from the table, it showed that females clearly outscored males in the following measures of emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regard, the ability to have interpersonal relationships, and the ability to show empathy. The comparative measurement of emotional intelligence in men and women belonging to the same age group, so of similar age, showed a high emotional social maturity in females than in males, so consistent with the trends identified earlier. Eric Vygotsky determined learning to have a very deeply social foundation, arguing that the acquisition of cognitive growth is greatly influenced by social interactions and collaborations. This once again emphasizes the theory of cognitive intelligence having a role in social intelligence and also emotional intelligence, as social and emotional intelligence can be derived by the ability to have relationships, as shown by the higher interpersonal relationships score from females as opposed to males. Across all 3 sources, there were certain strengths and limiting factors of the sources. The major one was from source 1, that an in vitro analysis of rodent cognitive function cannot absolutely parallel in vivo brain functioning. Also, cultural influences of social norms governing suppression of emotion regulation in females may have skewed their results to portray a higher regulation of emotions in source 2. And in source 3, the sample size was significantly smaller for females than it was for males. However, a strength of all 3 studies was that they looked at gender-based cognitive, social, and emotional functioning within the same age group. Therefore, we are able to determine not only that females are psychologically more mature than males, but this happens at a faster time point than it happens as with males. So the neurobiological theory of synaptic pruning induced by the GABA-A inhibitory receptors offers a more precise post-pubertal transition towards all aspects of psychologically induced early maturation in females. The Hebbian theory of synaptic firing, enunciated by Jean Piaget's renowned theory of cognitive development, have provided sufficient evidence that determining psychological maturity in females at adolescence is critical, as this is a stage of exceptional plasticity-induced brain development. And this shows great evidence for females maturing psychologically faster than males, as this is considered the beginning of cognitive development across humans. Studies from source 2 and 3 accentuate this, providing us with evidence from all aspects of psychological maturity to ascertain the accelerated maturation of females across all age categories. So post-pubertal with the rodents, adolescent with the school kids from the German school, and at university level. Thank you.